Right now, at this exact moment, an unseen cyber war is raging all around us, literally right under our noses. Welcome. In today's Explainer, we're pulling back the curtain on this invisible world of digital infrastructure. We're going to be using some really incredible reporting from TechReader magazine, specifically looking at Cloudflare's mid-year 2026 DDoS threat report. And what this report reveals is wild. It shows that every hour of every single day, the web is absorbing thousands of brutal attacks it never asked for. Let's just put a number to this invisible siege right out of the gate, just to truly grasp the scale we're dealing with here. 5,343. That is the exact number of network layer attacks the internet is absorbing every single hour. And to be clear, these aren't just little warnings or pings. We're talking about full-scale attacks aimed at completely tearing systems offline. Okay, let's dive into this. Because when you scale that hourly figure up, you are looking at roughly 128,000 attacks every single day. Across just the first half of 2026 alone, Cloudflare mitigated over 23 million of these network layer attacks, alongside nearly 30 trillion HTTP requests. Honestly, this isn't some rare anomaly happening in a dark, forgotten corner of the web anymore. It's a relentless, routine siege on the global network we all rely on every single day.
Section 1. Anatomy of an attack.
So, you might be wondering, how do these disruptions actually function on a technical level? Like, what does a digital siege actually look like under the hood? Well, the weapon of choice here is the DDoS attack, distributed denial of service. As you likely know, instead of coming from one single origin point, an attacker directs an absolute flood of traffic from thousands of globally compromised devices. It's like a digital zombie army trying to overwhelm a specific target until it literally can no longer respond to legitimate requests. And because it's coming from everywhere at once, simple IP blocking is pretty much impossible.
And this brilliantly illustrates the concept in a way we can all immediately grasp. TechReader magazine offers this perfect analogy. Think of it as jamming a phone line with so many fake calls that real ones just can't get through. The targets for these fake calls are absolutely everywhere. We're talking media companies, government agencies, hospitals, financial institutions, the whole shebang. And unfortunately, the barrier to launching these attacks has dropped way down. These tools are now widely available for hire across the internet.
Section 2, the extremes. Terabits to seconds. Now that we have a handle on the mechanics, we really need to look at how attackers are actually deploying these weapons today. Cloudflare's data reveals this fascinating landscape defined by absolute extremes. On one side, you have the 1 terabit club. These are massive, crushing, infrastructure-breaking events designed to completely overwhelm systems under just sheer, unimaginable volume. Slow, lumbering leviathans of data. But on the exact opposite end, 35-second micro-attacks. Brief, automated, lightning fast. They are designed to get in, trigger cascading failures across the network, and completely vanish before a human reaction is even remotely possible. Let's look a little closer at those heavy hitters first. The explosive growth of these hypervolumetric attacks has created what researchers call the 1 terabyte club. We are talking about attacks exceeding 1 terabyte per second of traffic. That is 1 billion packets or 1 million requests every single second. To put that completely massive scale into perspective, in the second quarter of 2026 alone, Cloudflare mitigated 805 of these events. That is a 6-fold increase over the first quarter. It brings the total to 935 for just the first half of the year. These massive events heavily stress major internet infrastructure, yet shockingly, they've just become routine entries in a quarterly report. So the crucial point is, the small, incredibly fast attacks are still exceptionally deadly. Despite this huge surge of terabit giants we just talked about, 96% of network layer attacks actually stay under 500 megabits per second, and 90% of them are completely over in under 10 minutes. Why? Because a mere 100 megabit attack is enough to completely bring down an unprotected server. Honestly, by the time a human security analyst even gets an alert on their screen, a 35-second attack has already caused routing instability and downstream service degradation. It just completely highlights the absolute necessity of having automated, always-on protection. Human reaction time simply isn't fast enough anymore.
Section 3. Real-world geopolitical ripples.
Now, these digital attacks do not happen in a vacuum. Notice how clearly world events map directly to digital crosshairs here. The media, production, and publishing sector absorbed nearly 14% of all mitigated HTTP DDoS requests in the first half of 2026. That is almost 4 times the volume of the next closest sector. The report ties this directly to sustained global coverage of ongoing conflicts and major global events like the World Cup. Basically, hacktivists are taking their real-world anger and pointing their digital weapons directly at the outlets and platforms associated with the news coverage they are reacting to. We see an even sharper, honestly more dramatic leap when we look at the government sector. At the start of 2026, government entities ranked 29th among attacked industries. Not super high, but by the second quarter, they rocketed all the way up to 9th place. The data tracks exactly with a massive wave of hacktivist activity tied to geopolitical events in the Middle East, with nearly half of all targeted organizations in that wave being government entities. It's clear that our physical geopolitical battlegrounds and our digital networks have become deeply, deeply intertwined. Section 4. The Counter-Offensive. With so much automated, targeted hostility out there, the situation might seem a bit bleak. But the internet is far from defenseless. April 2026 was the peak month for attack volume, but immediately after, activity meaningfully declined. The likely reason? A massive, coordinated pushback called Operation Power Off. This was a staggering action involving 21 different coordinating countries. They essentially disrupted the actual supply chain of these attacks. They took down 53 domains, issued 25 search warrants, and reached over 75,000 users of those DDoS for hire platforms we mentioned earlier. It proves that going after the infrastructure that facilitates these attacks actually does move the needle. And while law enforcement operations like Power Off are super effective, they are inherently pretty slow. So on the private infrastructure side, things are moving at light speed. Cloudflare operates a free botnet threat feed where over 800 networks worldwide share real-time data on attack sources. This is huge because it allows internet service providers to instantly identify and remove compromised devices from their networks. This private sector sharing moves at network speed, easily outpacing slow regulatory mechanisms. And that is absolutely vital when you're fighting an enemy that operates in milliseconds. Which brings this all right back to you, the viewer, and your daily internet use. TechReader magazine closes their coverage with this really powerful reminder. The stability most users experience is not accidental. Every single time a web page loads flawlessly or your favorite streaming platform stays online without buffering, that peaceful, easy experience is the direct product of massive infrastructure specifically designed to absorb continuous hostile punishment on your behalf. The attacks are routine, but incredibly, so is the defense. Yet as the scale pushes into the terabits and the speed narrows down to mere seconds, we have to look forward. The internet survived today, but are we ready for tomorrow's attacks? It's a question that highlights both the incredible resilience of our digital defenses and the absolute fragility of our connected world. Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me today. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I will see you next time.